together. You started on a journey. The journey is not complete. This is just the beginning of an ongoing effort to keep the dream alive. 1963, March on Washington for Jobs and Freedom. I remember 23 years old, had all of my hair a few pounds lighter when I participated in the March on Washington. And I know there's some young people today are saying, oh, I can't do it. But let me tell you, I first heard of Martin Luther King Jr. in 1955, 15 years old in the 10th grade. Listen to the words of Dr. King, changed my life. If it hadn't been for Martin Luther King Jr., I wouldn't be standing here today as a member of Congress representing all of the people of Georgia. So, you come here. We come here. I come here 50 years later saying we must never ever give up or ever give in or ever give out, but we must keep the faith. I remember the first meeting with President Kennedy, the 6 of us, including Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., A. Phillip Randolph, James Farmer, Whitney Young, and Roy Wilkins. In that meeting, in June of 1963, when Mr. Randolph spoke up and said to the president, the black masses are restless and we're going to march on Washington. President Kennedy started moving in his chair. He didn't like the idea of people marching on Washington. And he said, Mr. Randolph, if you bring all these people to Washington, won't there be violence and chaos and disorder? And we will never get a civil rights bill through the Congress. Mr. Randolph spoke up and said, Mr. President, this will be an orderly, peaceful, nonviolent protest. And a few days later, on July 2nd, 1963, we met in New York City at the old Roosevelt Hotel. And in that meeting, we invited 4 major white religious and labor leaders to join us in issuing the call for the March on Washington. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and others traveled all across America recruiting people to come to Washington. As a matter of fact, we had a fundraiser at the Apollo Theater in Harlem to raise money to get a train leaving New Orleans to Jackson, Mississippi, to Birmingham, Alabama, coming through Georgia, going through North Carolina and through Virginia to Washington to bring people. And when we arrived there, early the morning of August 28, 1963, we went up on Capitol Hill. We met with the House leadership, both Democrats and Republicans. We went over on the Senate side and we met with Democrats and Republican leadership. And then we started walking down Constitution Avenue. We looked toward Union Station. There were hundreds and thousands of people pouring out of the train station. And we knew then there were going to be more than 50 or 60,000 people. The people were already marching. We were supposed to be the leaders. But it was like saying, there go my people, let me catch up with them. And they pushed us toward the Washington Monument, on toward the Lincoln Memorial. And we got there. The story is too long for me to take the time.